Hello. In this video, we will be demonstrating converting an InfoPath form to a SharePoint list leveraging Kudzu software. So let's start with the InfoPath form. Here it is right here. We have an employment application. Up at the top, we have some text boxes, a date picker, a drop-down list with some US states. We have 3 repeating sections for education, references, and previous employment, as well as a file attachment control for attaching a resume. So we want to push this out to SharePoint leveraging Kudzu. So let's go ahead and open up Kudzu. And here's the home page. We'll click on this wizard button to bring up the read screen. And you can see we're going to read the form, look at the results of the form, write it out to SharePoint, and get our summary. So let's choose InfoPath as our source type. And then we'll say select from SharePoint. We can upload the XSN file if we'd like, or we can just point it to SharePoint directly. I click on that, there's our form right there. Hit select. We'll give this a name of employment application. And we'll click on next. Now what's happening is Kudzu is reading the schema, the rules of the InfoPath form and importing it into Kudzu as a uniform model. So at this point, we have an optional step where we can make some edits to the form before we want to publish it out to SharePoint by clicking this edit button. And now we have the InfoPath form loaded up and converted to a Kudzu uniform. And this is the uniform editor. So it's a feature-rich editing tool that allows us to add, remove controls, rename controls, change control types, or to change the names of our properties. We see that quite a bit with InfoPath, where the names of our properties might not have followed the best naming conventions. So we give you the ability to do all of that before you publish it out to SharePoint. But in this case, we'll keep with the defaults. So we'll just hit close. And now we'll click on next. And now we are prompted to select our writer. So this is where we want to push the form out to. So in this case, we want to push this out to SharePoint. This right here are all of the columns that will be in the SharePoint list. Think of it like a view of the data in SharePoint. So we'll just select a handful of these for our columns, for our metadata. Also, these settings over here will change depending on what platform we're pushing it out to, but in this case, these are what we have for SharePoint. And we have some more advanced functionality over here to the right. And what we want to do here is go ahead and give this a new list name. So we have a form library already called employment application. So let's go ahead and create a new list name. So we'll choose this ellipsis right here. We'll click new, select, and we'll call this employment applications uniform. Okay, so now we'll click on next, and what's happening now is Kudzu is building up all of the artifacts and publishing those out to our target SharePoint environment. There's a number of artifacts that Kudzu needs for runtime support, and now you can see in a little over 12 seconds we've converted that InfoPath to a SharePoint-based form. So we'll go ahead and click on this link right here. Okay, so here is the SharePoint list that Kudzu created. You can see here are those columns that we selected during the wizard. And if I click on new, you can see that what's opening now is a uniform powered by Kudzu. So this is the InfoPath form that's been converted to a uniform and hosted within a SharePoint list. So let's just go ahead and put in some information in here. See that we brought over the drop-down list. We have our calendar controls for our date pickers, and then we have all of the repeating sections for our one-to-many relationships. We also have the resume attachment control, and if I click on save, you can see that we've wired up all of the CRUD operations to submit the data and create the record in SharePoint. And if I click on view form right there, it will load the data that was previously added, or I can click on edit to continue adding or editing the data for that particular record. Hit close, go back to the SharePoint list, and there you go. Converting an InfoPath form to a uniform hosted within a SharePoint list.